Good afternoon, everybody. Just a very brief introduction to the existing to Changeworks. Changeworks is Scotland's leading environmental charity and social enterprise, which is actually delivering positive solutions for low carbon living. We collaborate with the Scottish Government, local authorities, housing associations, businesses, community groups, and individuals to take meaningful, urgent action to tackle climate change. Our vision is for a world where everyone, and that's one of the important factors, is everyone is able to live, work and enjoy life with a low carbon impact. We're not a campaigning organisation. Our priority and expertise lie in finding practical ways to cut carbon, promote sustainable energy and help more people enjoy an eco-friendly lifestyle. We support a whole range of people and organisations to improve energy efficiency, reduce fuel poverty, install renewables, prevent waste and inspire low carbon behaviours. We have almost 200 enthusiastic employees and volunteers across Scotland, and our values are passion, integrity, innovation, collaboration and empowerment. These are the values which drive us in everything we do. Although not a campaigning organisation, we are active members of both the Existing Homes Alliance, which seeks to influence government policy on, as it says on the tin, existing homes, and part of the Climate Emergency Response Group, which is a group of leaders across many sectors who actually sought to influence the government to actually take full action on the climate emergency. So that's a bit of background to Changeworks. Before I start talking about what you as organisations can do, I think we first have to remember we've got to think what support could be provided for clients and staff on the climate emergency. Changeworks, alongside the WISE Group, SCARF and the Energy Agency, all provided services through Home Energy Scotland, which is a Scottish Government funded project managed by the Energy Saving Trust, which operates across Scotland, which provides advice and support on saving energy and keeping warm at home. Funding options, including Scottish Government grants and interest-free loans, and installing renewable energy at home. It's a service, it is the main referral route into the Scottish Government's fuel poverty programmes, and this year the Scottish Government is committed £50 million to improve the housing of those who are in fuel poverty. So those with qualifying benefits and low energy efficiency homes could be looking at new heating systems, insulation, renewable heating systems going in. So it is definitely worthwhile thinking, are there any of your clients who may benefit, or staff? We've often found that a number of staff who may be working part-time hours really will benefit from this system. There is an ability to set up partnership referral arrangements, which we have with a whole range of operations across Scotland. Where you're located will depend which organisation you interface with, but this operates across Scotland, so people can make referrals directly in through a portal. There's a free phone number for any individuals to phone up, and the link there is to Home Energy Scotland. So having thought about your clients and the staff, then what about support for you as organisations? Again, the Scottish Government has funded free support to small and medium-sized organisations, and this is operated alongside Home Energy Scotland by the same organisations I mentioned, and it is their energy efficiency business support services. Their website's got a whole range of resources, and the advice can be provided. The level of advice and support does depend on what your levels of emissions are. There is access to interest-free government loans with cashback as well, which is currently running at 30%, so sort of grant subsidy for these activities. And they are very much promoting actions which actually will save you money over the long term, but recognising that the funding of these, because they make a return, does require it. So it is focused mostly on those either with buildings or transport fleet. But I have a few examples of the organisations that have benefited from it. Sort of it's Whiting Bay on the Isle of Man Community Trust benefited from actually installing, like we have from the first speaker, installing renewables onto their community hall. The Remakery in Edinburgh went through a whole evaluation of what action they can take to reduce their carbon footprint, and also the ragtag on the Isle of Skye. So across the board, organisations across Scotland are benefiting from this service. You can be provided with, depending on the level of emissions that you have, a full audit and then hand-holding support through to the installation as well. So there's direct support that can be provided. This sort of a Scotland-wide support, so I thought I'd then very briefly go on to sort of actually look to see, well, what as an organisation your emissions are likely to be. This was Changeworks' carbon footprint pre-pandemic. You do have to sort of, obviously things have changed in the past year and our footprint in some ways has been lower, but we've had lots of people working from home. So that's been a big issue. But as you can see, we have got, we operate a lot across Scotland. We manage installation projects up and down the country. We go and make home visits to either the fuel poor or those interested in installing renewables. So our biggest single item of carbon emissions was fuel for vehicles. And this has actually driven us to change our fleet. We have reviewed the whole process about our fleet management. We've gone mostly over to electric vehicles now and hybrids where the distance traveled don't make this feasible. And this has actually resulted, because we've taken out longer term leases with cars, we've actually not only reduced our carbon footprint for our vehicles, but also have reduced the cost. The other area obviously was been a year ago, sort of business travel was taking place, but commuting was an issue, which is actually we start thinking about, well, what is that going to be long term, sort of if we're moving into a combination of home working and office based. Looking at actually keeping our building running, it's only with the gas heating and electricity that represents just 22% of our emissions, but there were still things we could do. We made a significant saving on our gas emissions by installing sophisticated heating controls. So having done quite an analysis of what it is, we then took a range of action. That level of detail is probably not appropriate for all organisations. It will depend on what the size of, as much your turnover is, about what's most appropriate. But I have got a few hints about what immediate actions you could be doing. For when we get back into any buildings we have, how you actually manage your heating and your heating controls can make a significant difference. Yes, you can install more sophisticated controllers which allow you to control it from PC, but often heating gets put on at the beginning of the heating system and just left to be on, will come on, sort of be on late and come on very early. So by adjusting your heating controls, you can make, everybody is able to make changes to the amount of energy that they use, their carbon emissions. As part of your environmental policy, you need to consider your travel hierarchy. And I think one of the things that we've come to realise with the pandemic is, do we have to travel at all? Seminars such as this taking place actually are much easier to attend often, although we do miss the networking opportunities. Further issue will be coming out of the pandemic is home working and commuting. Some organisations have said, well, by not having offices, you actually save significantly on the heating bills and on commuting. But one of the things which we have found is that with staff working at home, their heating bills have gone up considerably. And with many of our staff actually living quite close to the office and involved in active travel to the office, that hasn't been offset by original commuting. So it is a balance about what you do. This isn't sort of the be all and end all, is just say not having offices, everybody working from home. For those who have responsibility for their utility bills, it's worth considering changing to a renewable tariff rather than being on the standard tariffs, because this does drive the overall market for renewables. For those with investment portfolio, particularly the funders, sort of looking at sort of what is your, is it your decisions need to be taken as whether how much you want to support climate change, or is it just an active that you look to de-invest with the highest carbon emitters? So as general actions, it is worthwhile looking at calculating your carbon footprint for those who have more time, because that can look to drive your actions. And finally, for involvement of staff, considering how cost the organisation they may wish to adhere, I'd recommend sort of the Keep Scotland Beautiful carbon literacy projects. So that was a brief run through about some of the options that are available to you to support you in maybe considering on your individual journeys and looking into climate reduction.